Hey friends, it's Laurie. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today I'm making two summertime wreaths. One is a beach scene complete with the umbrella, and the other is lemons and daisies. This is a craft your stash video, and I used Dollar Tree supplies along with some other things that I had on hand. I really hope you enjoy them, so let's get busy. I'm getting started by using one of the 14-inch wire wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to be wrapping the form, and I'm using some of this blue ribbon that I had on hand, and this will be representing the sky. And to represent the sand, I'll be using some of the Dollar Tree burlap ribbon. I'm adding some hot glue on one of the supports and then attaching the end of the ribbon. From there, I continue wrapping the ribbon and adding a bit of hot glue on here and there to help hold it in place. I'm giving myself more sky than I am sand, so I'm wrapping 4 of the wired sections with my blue ribbon. Now that my sky is complete, I'm going to wrap the lower half with the burlap ribbon, and I'm going to slightly overlap it over the blue. I used these 2 ribbons because I had them on hand, but you can basically use anything you have in your stash, and they're going to mostly be covered, so as long as they're blue and brown, you'll be all set and good to go. Now that we have our sand and our sky wrapped, we're going to place this aside and make the beach umbrella. To make the umbrella for my wreath, I'm using 5 of these 7-inch styrofoam cones. I didn't use the Dollar Tree styrofoam cones because the top is cut off flat, and when you place them together, they really didn't resemble an umbrella. I'm going to paint each of my cones with a different color of acrylic paint. I decided to use 5 different bright and bold colors, but you can pick any colors that you'd like, and you can also just make it a single color if you prefer. The first coat did a pretty good job covering it, but there were some little nooks and crannies because they're styrofoam, so I let each one dry completely and then gave it a second coat. Now that I have them all painted and dry, I'm going to attach them together. I decided my color layout, and then using my glue gun, I attached all 5 together. I added some hot glue to each side, making sure that all 5 of the points were even on the top. Now that I have them all attached together, I'm using my Mod Podge and I'm giving it a complete coat. Now that I'm done, I'm going to place that aside and let it dry, and I'm going to make the pole for my umbrella. I wanted to pop in and let you know that today I'm participating in my monthly friend collab, and it's being hosted by my sweet friend Liana from Liana DIY. This month, our guests are Rhonda from the Distressed Princess DIY and Jackie from Crafting in Mimi's World. All 3 have amazing channels along with my other crafty friends, and I will have the Craft Your Stash playlist linked below in my description. So be sure to head on over and check them out. If you happen to be new to my channel, please consider clicking on that little red subscribe button below and leaving me a big thumbs up. And if you're one of my returning friends, you know I'm always so happy to see you. For the umbrella pole, I'm recycling a flat piece of wood. It's about 1 inch wide and roughly 16.5 inches in length. But you can always use a dowel or recycle anything that you have on hand. For the top of my pole, I'm using one of these wooden beads. It has a hole on each end, If you don't have anything like this, you can always use one of the Dollar Tree ping pong balls and then just attach it to the top of your pole. And all I did was add some hot glue to the end of my pole, and then I just slipped on the wooden bead. I waited for the glue to cool, and then using my white acrylic paint, I gave it a complete coat. Now that it's dry, I'm attaching my umbrella together. I'm placing about a 6-inch line of hot glue from the top of the pole. I'm then placing the top of the umbrella against the wooden bead and making sure it's centered in the middle cone. To attach the umbrella to the wreath, I'm centering it in the middle of the sky, then tucking the bottom of the pole on the underside of the sand. And now using my glue gun, I'm attaching the two pieces together. To accent my sand, I'm using two 6-inch rolls of the gold tulle from the Dollar Tree. To make them quicker and easier to cut, I cut a 6-inch piece of cardboard, and then all I did was wrap the tulle around it. I then used my scissors to cut both ends. To attach my tulle bunches together, I'm cutting in half some of my 12-inch floral wire. To make my tulle bunches, I'm using 3 pieces and layering one on top of the other. I'm then folding them in half to find my center, giving it a little pinch, and then securing it together with a piece of floral wire. I continued making them until I used all pieces of my gold tulle. Before I add them to my wreath, I'm going to kind of pull the tulle apart to make it a little fuller, and then I'm going to cut off the excess wire just about where the end of the twist is. After I've done this to all of the pieces of gold tulle, I'm then hot gluing them onto the burlap ribbon on my wreath. As I'm adding them, I don't have any specific placement. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't leave any open spaces. And now that I'm done, my gold tulle has turned into sand. To accent the sky, I'm using 2 of the 5-inch light blue tulle from the Dollar Tree. They actually made these an inch smaller, and I cut out an 8-inch piece of cardboard and then once again wrapped my tulle around it. And just like I did with the gold tulle, I'm using 3 pieces. I'm folding it in half to find my center, giving it a little pinch, and then securing it together with the half piece of my floral wire. And I continued on making my blue tulle bunches. And just like the gold, I fluffed them up a bit and snipped off the excess wired end. To add them on and accent my sky, I'm once again hot gluing them onto the ribbon, just like I did for the gold sand. I don't have any special placement. I'm making sure to cover as much of the ribbon as possible, and I did leave some extra so that I can attach it behind the umbrella. Now that I have all my tulle attached, I'm going to make some fun accents for the wreath. I'm going to make a beach chair by using one of these pink chairs that I found in the toy department at the Dollar Tree. I used my scissors to cut them down a little shorter, and then I also cut some of the decorative edge that's on the side. I decided where I wanted it to sit and then added some hot glue to attach it in place. Something I wear all the time when I go to the beach is a sun hat. And I had one of these in my stash, so I'm attaching it to the side of the chair. I'm using one of the Dollar Tree starfish towels to make a little towel for my chair. I cut out about a 6x8 piece and then used my glue gun to fold over both ends and the sides. With my little towel cut and complete, I added some hot glue to the chair and then just kind of draped it across. I'm adding on these two little flip-flops that I had in my stash, and they would be easy enough to make. Just cut an oval piece of felt and add on a little band. I used my glue gun to attach these two under the chair. For my last accent, I'm making a beach ball out of a large wooden knob. So like I've said before, I'm definitely not an artist, and I just used my pencil and tried to draw on some guidelines so that I could paint a beach ball. Now, using the same paint that I used on my umbrella, I'm going to add on some lines. Because I only used 5 colors on my umbrella and the beach ball has 6 stripes, I ended up using white for my last stripe. Once my beach ball was complete, to kind of mimic what a real beach ball looks like, I added a little white circle on the top. And when it was dry, to kind of mimic the shininess on the umbrella, I gave it a coat of Mod Podge. To finish up, I attached it with my glue gun. I love the vibe of this wreath because I love the beach, and even when I'm not there, taking one look at this, I kind of feel like I am. To start my wreath DIY, I'm using one of the wire wheel forms. It's 14 inches from the Dollar Tree. I need a base to fill out the side of the form, so I'm using some leaves from this flower bunch. Now that I have them all cut, I'm going to use my glue gun and start attaching them to the base of the form. I don't have any specific plan or placement. I'm just kind of adding them and making sure that I'm filling out the base so you can't really see anything through it. One thing I did notice as I was attaching the leaves is the hot glue would kind of run down the sides of the wire and then attach itself to the paper below, so that was a little bit of a problem, but it wasn't a big deal. Now that my base leaves are attached, I'm using another type. These are a bit lighter in color and they have a different shape leaf. I once again removed each of them from the main stem. I used my glue gun to attach them, and I basically made sure that they were heading all in the same direction. I attached some under the base leaves and some on the top. And as I'm placing them, I don't have any specific plan. I'm just kind of trying to cover that side of the wheel. And basically what I've attached on the top, I'm trying to attach on the bottom. To make the bow for my wreath, I'm using some ribbon that I had on hand. I'm using a 2.5-inch burlap ribbon with some bees and daisies. I have a 2-inch yellow, a 2-inch yellow and white stripe, a 1.5-inch buffalo check ribbon, and finally a piece of 1.5-inch yellow polka dot ribbon. I'm using my Easy Bow Maker, and I had picked this up on Amazon. I'm starting with my burlap ribbon, and I'm making 2 8-inch tails and 4 6-inch loops. I'm now adding on my yellow, and once again, I'm making 2 8-inch tails and 4 6-inch loops. I'm adding on my yellow and white stripe ribbon, making 8-inch tails, but this time I'm making 4 5.5-inch loops. I'm now adding my buffalo check ribbon to the group, and once again 2 8-inch tails, but this time I'm adding 4 5-inch loops. And for my short piece of yellow polka dot ribbon, I'm making 2 4-inch tails and 2 4-inch loops. To attach my bow together, I'm using a piece of floral wire. I fluffed out my loops, and now I'm going to dovetail each of the ends, which is super easy. You just fold the ribbon in half and cut away at an angle. To attach my ribbon to the wreath form, I'm wrapping both wired ends around the spokes. I then added a bit of hot glue to help hold it in place. For the lemon accent, I'm using 2 packages of these lemons, and I did pick these up at the Dollar Tree. I found their placement on the wreath, and then using my glue gun, I attached them. To tie the daisy ribbon into my wreath, I'm using some of these daisies, and I had originally picked these up at Joann's. I cut away the stems and decided where I wanted them to be on the wreath, and then I hot glued them into place. And when I was done, I added my last daisy into the center of my bow. I'm using one of these little felt bees. I had picked these up a while back on Amazon, and I had used them in one of my past projects. I'm going to add one to the center of the daisy. On the daisy flowers, they had these little pieces of greenery, so I'm using my glue gun and attaching them here and there around the wreath. With those in place, I'm adding 3 sprigs of the second type of greenery that I had added to the wreath behind the bow. To finish up and add one more layer of greenery, I'm cutting the stems free from this bunch. And once again, I'm randomly attaching them here and there to fill out the wreath. And with that, my lemon daisy wreath is ready to hang. Thanks again for stopping by, and I hope you had fun making these wreaths with me. Don't forget to check out the playlist, and if you're new to my channel and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to come back and hang out with her again, don't forget to click that little red subscribe button below. I'll see you all very soon. Bye, everybody.